So Ray Dalio did a Bloomberg interview in which he said he was not worried about China's debt because it was internal and self-funded, so that it could be managed and contained. Any comment on this?
You've commented on this extensively.
Yes, yes, I have.
Which is great that Ray's talking about it. You've been talking about it for years.
Since 2011. Well, I mean, it's not that I beat Ray to it, but they had the same tone on China for the last, 8 years now, which is that it's very unlikely that they have a Western-style financial crisis. That in economic nomenclature, that's more what they call sudden stop risk, whereas external sources of funding tend to sort of evaporate, as countries go into these current account crises. China has a closed capital account, particularly just for this reason. So not only is most of their debt internally funded, but also 3/4 of all debt in China is on state-owned banks' balance sheets. The politburo there, actually thought it was ludicrous that the U.S. government would allow Lehman Brothers to fail, in their framework. They think of these banks as being real big pillars of society and economic development. So for them, it's very unlikely that we see that. But I've always said this for the same time. If you don't have a financial crisis that rears a system of bad debt, what you have is, on the other side of that is a sort of clogged credit channel where most incremental debt is going to finance existing debt, existing obligations and rollovers rather than incremental growth. So the net result is a persistent deceleration in economic activity, which is exactly what we've seen since then.
It's a good way to think about it. I mean, it's like kind of like a garden hose jamming mashed potatoes into it. Totally. Eventually, you're not getting as much pump.
Exactly.
And you can't pump the economy up without a massive stimulus like a new fire hose instead of the garden hose.
Totally.
Which the Chinese have done, but they typically can only do that when the dollar is weakening and the Fed is going dovish in a meaningful way. So there are a lot of differences in China, and we've had a lot of debates and a lot of, thank God, differences of opinion on timing this versus people we have respect for, like Kyle Bass, for example. There are a lot of people out there that have a view that the Chinese Ponzi scheme, if you want to call it that in some regards, and I don't know if it's called a Ponzi scheme, it's just called different. There's no Dick Fold in China. There's no Dick Fold. You can't lever up a bank at that point to enrich yourself. You will lose your life probably in China if you were to try that as a banker.
Yeah, no.
Who is the Dick Fold of China? There is none.
There's no Dick Fold.